Cool. So lots to catch up on this morning. So last night I went to the Future School benefit over in Collingwood with Ray. I invited him this morning, but I don't know if he's figured out Zoom yet. So I don't know if he's going to be jumping in. But yeah, it was really good. So basically, Peter's building a new school with the Future Schools Alliance in the heart of Melbourne. And basically, it's a school that'll be open 365 days a year. And it's all student centric. So they're basically, the students get to choose their learning paths, choose the curriculum. They kind of get the legacy stuff out of the way, like early on in the year, so the kids can really focus on what their passions are. And he's figured out a really good way to do that. And it was really cool. His presentation, he explained it all with Lego. So he said, yeah, it was awesome. He's like, I've been playing with Lego for the last week, so I need you to critique my Lego skills at the end of this. And I was like, no, it was awesome. So basically using like the scale of Lego blocks to represent how the physical school will look. And it basically pulls out into different learning communities. So a lot like Guarana, actually, like from the sounds of it. So like how they had the different learning spaces set up. Oh, we lost Gordon. That's all right. I was going to ask Gordon something about that, actually, because he had some ideas for funding. But basically at the end of the presentation, they were saying they can run the whole school and run it for free for students, so totally free, which is awesome. And basically the model is they create businesses that the students run within the school to actually help fund it, and the other parts that are funded by government. So it's pretty awesome, and I think it's definitely the future, and the model to actually move forward with. But yeah, they need funding, so I think they need like $1 million or something to kick off. So I didn't realize it was like a benefit to get funding for stuff. But I was like, hey, that's a really good project. But they're looking for traditional funding. So I caught Peter at the end, and yeah, I said, look, does it have to be sort of traditional finance? And he said, oh, not necessarily. I don't think he had really thought about crypto or anything. So I reckon we could probably help out with something, or even get a community of people to sort of help with it, or something like that. But then I saw your message this morning, Gordon, for that crowdfunding project. What's that one?
That one's just the guys over in the Nigerian conference use that funding platform.
Right, and it's Bitcoin specific. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I haven't checked right into it. I saw it come up when they first did it. But right. I just came across something again. They posted something again.
Cool.
And I thought, yeah, that's worth looking at. So
for sure.
for special projects, you might go, I spun up that one there, an idea to generate some income, you know?
Yeah, well, that might be the way to go for the future school. I'll have a look into it. I'll suggest it to Peter. But Pazzy Salberg was there last night as well, and he did a bit of a presentation. He was fantastic as well. So he's going to be involved with the school as well. So if you don't know him, definitely worth checking out his stuff online.
Yeah, I thought there was when I introduced the future school to the Gladstone community, the idea. Anyway, they'll will have followed up with Peter on that. We actually thought that there was quite a possibility to use a DAO to raise the funding. So basically, you got to create a community to start with.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter where the funding comes. If they've got a community and they've got a big enough community to support it, then how that's run and how the governance. I mean, it's quite complex. It might be a DAO later, but you can be used as raising a capital, and that's something they should seriously research. And they could go and see who's our professor at RMIT that's doing the
oh yes, can't think of the name either. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I suggest they go and have a chat to him, because they are doing the revitalization for Melbourne proposal, the DAO proposal.
Yeah,
they've got Australia's leading people down there in Melbourne. They could easily take that idea and say, guys, what do you think? And I'm sure they get a lot of assistance.
That's a great idea. Well, and what really caught my ear last night was basically they're looking at creating new standards and being really gun ho on that. And part of that was financial literacy. So I was like, geez, that would catch a lot of people's ear, I think, like online specifically. And it's, I mean, obviously what we're doing as well. So yeah, pretty cool. I was really glad I went along actually, because it was a bit of a drive from Mornington to Collingwood. I was like, oh, can I be bothered? And I'm like, yeah, it's gonna be worth it. So yeah, it really was. It was really, really good. So yeah, that was the future school. So the meetup, I think we should probably have a chat about as well. So that's on Thursday. Yeah, tomorrow night, isn't it? Oh, I got my days wrong. Yeah, tomorrow at 5:30. So I've done a bit of a test run myself and ran through it all. So basically, all you guys have to do, and hopefully you can join Jacques if it's not an insane time for you on the other side of the world, but it should be fun anyway. Basically, just join this. So join the Zoom, and we'll just chat as if we're just doing a Zoom. And basically, what I'm going to do is live stream it to YouTube and have that YouTube stream in VR. So if we can have maybe one person in charge of, probably won't have that many people involved, so it's not going to be huge. But I reckon the amount of interest that we've had just from the meetups and from Twitter and LinkedIn, it'll probably grow pretty quickly, I reckon. People seem pretty excited. So maybe someone in charge of the chat on YouTube, because realistic, because I was saying Tribrid model, it's kind of four things. So kind of physical space, YouTube, Zoom, and the VR space. The VR space, I reckon, is just like a hub for people to move around in and chat amongst themselves. So we don't really have to manage anything there. It's just having it set up. I think for us, it's just Zoom, maybe one person in charge of just the chat in YouTube. So maybe we'll use that for questions. And then, yeah, we'll just present through here sort of thing. So I'll do a slide and a Google slide, and we can dump our stuff into that. So for tomorrow, I did 3 topics. So education, stacks, obviously, and mining. So I thought that'd be a cool sort of place to kick off. So we can talk about School of Bitcoin, Digital Playhouse, what we've been building, some De Bono work, maybe Karen, if you want to sort of talk about that. And then we can talk about the Stacks community, setting that up, what we're sort of doing with that, and then mining as well. So should be pretty content full, I think, but it should be fun. And hopefully what's in my head kind of works, but I think it does. So I did a test, got on another computer, got in world live stream. There's a bit of a delay, so I think it's like a minute or something behind in the VR space, but that's fine. So yeah, I think it should be fun. And all the meetups are up to date. Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Gordon. Yeah, I tried to jump in into the meetups and create the events, but I couldn't do it. So maybe there's permissions or something. I'm not sure. But yeah.
Yeah, you should have permissions now if you can just try.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll have a play. Well, it's up anyway. So for next time, we'll maybe do it a bit earlier. But yeah, so it should be good. So I'll make the presentation today, and then anyone who wants to dump ideas into that, I think that'd be really cool, particularly for the education part of it. So I'll put a bit about School of Bitcoin, and then whoever wants to jump in and have a chat about what we've been building, about the days, about using GitHub and all the rest of it. That'd be really good. And yeah, I think we should be fine for that. The other thing is Electra going to join us? Do you know, Gordon?
I haven't spoke. I'm not sure this morning.
The other thing that I shot through an email, and she had a few ideas, but basically Ray sent us an article for this school. I don't know if anyone had a chance to read it. It was a school that was basically has like legal issues at the moment because they're not VIT recognized or something ridiculous. And it's basically I'm going to get in contact with the principal actually, because he sounds really cool. Basically, it's a school that set up like no year levels, and they do like self-directed learning and basically everything that we're looking at doing. They've had some like basically regulators move in and say, nah, you're not allowed to do that. So it sparked basically Ray thought maybe because we have the word school in the URL that it might flag something. I was like, oh, really? It's pretty clear that it's like an open curriculum, like we have it on the front page, but I don't know. Maybe, I don't know what you guys think. Maybe we should just change the name of it to something else. I mean, the School of Bitcoin is a pretty awesome name, but yeah, it's something to think about anyway. And I know Electra had some ideas on that too, so maybe when we catch up with her. But I don't know. Did anyone have any thoughts on that?
I think a couple of weeks ago when Terra Luna went down, and obviously just looking at a lot of the influence. Can you guys hear me? Even though I can't be seen because sorry, Kieran. There's only one option in that thing, and that is the OBS option. I can see how it should offer me another option, but it's not. So it's only offering me one option.
Your daughter's ruined it for you.
Yeah, she has, absolutely. But it's great that I'm thinking about live streaming, so that's great. But I think looking at and Gordon, maybe you've tuned in as well to a lot of like the Paul Barron and the Coin Bureau, and there's a lot of others that are really showing that concern. I think showing the concern to maybe not relinquish, that's not the right word, but to sort of, I think, pull themselves aside from the fact that they maybe a few weeks or a few months ago were actually saying, wow, Terra Luna's going amazing. And thinking back to that whole educational side, because they, as YouTubers, have to be very careful that thin influencers don't merge into that financial regulatory and financial guidance space. And therefore, I think they have really tried to be ultra cautious. So getting back to what we're talking about, I mean, we obviously are a school, and the curriculum that we outline, I think we need to go back to where we're looking at our risk and regulation and that teaching behind the fact, and we've talked about this right from the get-go, that we're not thinking of the crypto space as a space where you spray your money and you hope that suddenly you're a millionaire. But I think there's so much more that I think possibly we need to do with regards to the branding of the fact that we're looking at the space, not in because at the moment the space has got a very poor name, that anything in there other than maybe Bitcoin could go to zero. And so I think pulling it back to things that Gordon has been talking about, that you're educating your community with regards to the upcoming Web3 space. And I think that comes back to branding, but it also comes back to maybe looking at the curriculum and the message that we are a school for financial literacy. And then that next step as to what that means. It's not just crypto, because then the message doesn't get pulled out and relayed properly. So actually, I think what I'm trying to say is I don't have a problem with the word school, because actually I think it does go back to the core of what we're doing. Karen, can you weigh in on that? What are your thoughts?
People can identify, thanks Jill, people can identify straight away with the word school as a place of learning, and that's really important. But whether it should be, if it presents challenges, how can we reframe it so we give the same message? Would it be using the word education, or education for all for today and tomorrow, or something like that? If we're having we stick with Bitcoin School for the moment, but maybe just have a quick brainstorm sometime about what it could be, or maybe with a group of kids even brainstorming. I
was thinking the same thing. Yeah, I've had some kids actually come up with a cool name for that. Yeah.
I think it comes back to fear factor. Jacques, Gordon, what do you think?
Yeah, I think if there's regulation, then obviously it's there. It's like DAOs, it's like everything, but schools particularly, if there is a regulation, then we should look into that. But in the meantime, so let's look into that.
Yeah.
I mean, we have established a brand, so whether that can be rebranded, that's okay. If it's got to be done, it's got to be done. If we're in breach of a regulation, well, it's probably going to be a problem. But if we're not,
I reckon it might be worth getting legal advice, and I might even chat to see if I can get a hold of the principal from that school and see what he's sort of.
That'd be good. Let's do some research.
Yeah, agreed.
On the other side of the financial literacy, yeah, it is an interesting space around Bitcoin and what is money. You know, I think that Kieran made pretty clear from the start that with the School of Bitcoin, we consider everything else to be a test net, and that's what they are. They're a technology, rather than seeing them as money. They're actually a network of computers that enable transfer of value. We're not talking about dollar value. Yeah, we're really talking about tokenized value. So when there's a the head of the guy that's working on the metaverse space for IBM said that they've assessed the market. It's that can be tokenized in some way, and they're talking 2.5 quadrillion. It's like this is very, very early days in the technology, and there's going to be lots of hiccups. There's going to be scams. There's going to be rug pulls. So,
100%.
Yeah, I think on that side, I wouldn't get fearful of that. Certainly, the Paul Barons and all these sort of guys, of course, they're going to be and Coin Bureau. You know, they could be seen as providing financial advice, and they say they don't, but they are influencers. We're influencers. I guess, like at our school, we have just Bitcoin 101, which is about onboarding safely, securely, and how to have custody solutions or self-custody solutions. We're not actually telling people to buy Bitcoin in that sense.
And also by bringing School of Bitcoin under an entity, it has insurance for indemnity.
Thanks, Electra. That's great. That's good to know.
So that's something that that's been in discussion too, hasn't gone, I think.
Yeah, we hadn't discussed that today.
Sorry to come in late. I was on IT calls.
How did you go with your computer, Electra?
Running the node, yeah. I'm still. They've had some hiccups, but it all seems to be working now. So they're letting me. So I'll be running my first node. Yes.
That's awesome. Well done. That's really cool.
So I think that would be important, is to stick to those objectives. That why we're playing around with the technologies. But you know, Bitcoin as a core. And go from there.
100%. Well, even like with the Web3 space, if you look at like the birth of IPFS, which is a distributed protocol, that came after Bitcoin, and it's clear that it's like the idea of a decentralized protocol with that's run on nodes, but specific for data rather than money. It stemmed from that, right? And it's what I loved about that project. There was no token attached to it until later on with Filecoin. Like they kind of did it the other way around. But
I wondered how that happened.
Yeah, but I mean, like but it still runs. Like it doesn't need any token attached to it, you know. So I think that there is a lot of scam projects and a lot of whatever, but there's still a lot of cool stuff being built. So the idea of other stuff being a test net or forks of Bitcoin or stuff getting built out of that, I don't think we can ignore that. I think that's like a lot of the maxis sort of say, you know, everything else is a waste of time, but I don't see them as a waste of time. I think it's as stuff that's being built and thought about, and there's people putting a lot of effort into it, and different projects that actually have some merit. So
and utility.
Yeah. So I think if we sort of focus on them as like learning tools, I suppose, like in a suite of tools, then that's kind of the way to go. Well, that's all right. Well, I guess we'll do more research into that. Unless you had something, Electra.
Sorry, I was late, but you were speaking earlier about the School of Bitcoin.
Yeah, the name. Yeah.
Well, and the entity being sued that was an actual entity, wasn't it? That was holding itself as school. Whereas if it's being run as a project or a test net or an experiment or something that is of a not-for-profit nature, I guess it's not really an entity of its own thing. And once it's a DAO, you know, it's in a whole new sphere, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah, exactly right. Or days.
DAO-like thing.
I tried to explain the concept of a days to Puzzy Solberg last night, and I think it was like right over his head. I was like, is this the rantings of a madman, or does it make any sense? He's like, I don't understand.
Well, I've got to figure out a way to make it understandable, but people also need to catch up with their understanding. I'm finding that a lot talking to people these days. It's like, catch up on the basics and you'll understand. So,
that's right. Well, it's funny with him because I've watched, like, Puzzy's a pretty famous educator, and I've watched his stuff online. I've never met him in person, and I just launched into talking about the School of Bitcoin, and he didn't understand whatsoever. And also, like, it was before he's doing a presentation, so probably not in the mindset to take anything in whatsoever. But thought, why not? So that's cool. I was thinking for the provocation as well, Karen, I was going to say let's pick someone today, but I thought maybe it's best waiting for after the meetup, because I know we've got a lot of interest, and we can mention that as part of our presentation, and then see if they have any, either the people joining, or if they have kids that want to contribute or something. It might be better to wait for that, and then we'll pick a winner.
Good one.
After that might be the way to go.
Great.
That was pretty much everything I had. I think in terms of, the other thing I've run through, and I'm on day 21 now, so I should get the email through for the quiz, but basically through the Bitcoin Magazine Carrot project, they have 21 days of Bitcoin, and they send you a little bit of curriculum every day, and then at the end of it, you sit a test, and if you pass the test, you get sats. But I did notice, I've read something about being able to contribute to the curriculum at the end of it. I'm like, oh my God, that's awesome. That's like what we're doing. So anyway, we'll see if that comes through today. I'll sit it and see if I actually pass or not, and then we'll see how it goes. But I really like the content they've created. It is very obviously Bitcoin centric, which we'll probably do a little bit different just in terms of incorporating other stuff, but I think it was pretty cool. So if we can, I know we still have to work out the beginners part and actually get the content in there, but once we get the Stacks grant, which you still haven't got yet, so hopefully that's sometime this week, we can look at doing bounties and actually setting all that up. But that should be pretty cool. Oh yeah, the last thing I just wanted to ask, Jack, did you have a chance to have a play around with the Pyro authentication at all?
It did.
Oh,
yeah.
Awesome.
So it was a little challenging at first. I was going through some of the basic tutorials for Clarity, but then as I was like looking at the boilerplate example apps that they had one for just a to-do list app that had the authentication in it. And as I was thinking about what a to-do list is and what we essentially have on Gitbook, of course, really is just like do this step. So I really just cloned a repository over to the School of Bitcoin's GitHub. I just changed it. So it's listed as curriculum off.
Your audio is a bit off. Like it's it sounds like you're underwater.
Oh, weird.
And you're not in Melbourne.
Yeah. That's very weird. It's nice and cold here.
Yeah, let me try that. I'm not sure. Is it any better?
Much better. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, but I think it could be a good way to go. I mean, it's essentially like the authentication works for it right now, but it's a question of where do we want that to live?
It's a point.
Like,
Yep.
I don't think that we can get, at least I have no idea how it would work, getting authentication onto like Gitbook or anything like that. I think what is the intended user flow that we're thinking?
So I was thinking, and correct me if this doesn't make any sense, but Gitbook open so anyone can read it, contribute, whatever. And then from the School of Bitcoin website points to a quiz. So I was thinking of using, what were we using for that? I'd set something up. Hang on, let me have a look. Did have a note about this somewhere. 1 second, hang on. Oh, Typeform, of course. So I was thinking, yeah, Typeform embedded into the website, and yeah, using authentication for that Typeform page. So literally just for URL. Would that make sense?
Well, I'll try to put I'll try to embed a Typeform into what I have now.
Yeah.
And then and we can see if that works.
See if it works out, and we can just do a
Yeah.
quick run through.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, because essentially, like right now, the authenticator just signs a person in. It just brings them to like the live site. Would it be a thing where we would want the type form to trigger anything on the blockchain? Like they get a certain score?
Good question. I don't think so yet. I think if we could just get it as a login tool, because that way we're utilizing their network for them to log in. My thinking, like long term, was for them to use I don't know how we do this, but use the NFT certification to be able to log into that. But if we can get it just to log in with the Haro wallet for now, I reckon that'd be pretty cool. And then we could even use it for the provocations as well. So like the next one we do have like we have set up already, so the type form for that with the Haro login or authentication specifically. And then if we can figure out how to use the NFTs for authentication with that as well. I'm sure there must be a way to do it, but maybe we need some help from the Stack community for that. But
yeah, I think definitely if we have, I'm already looking, I see some React libraries for embedding type forms. So
awesome.
I'll dig into these, and then I think if we have that to show stacks, then I think that would be a good first step, and we could probably find someone who could help out with the NFT side of it.
Awesome.
So keep chugging along there.
Awesome. Oh, thanks heaps for that. That's great. Did anyone else have any updates?
So is that like in Decentraland, if I wanted to go in a particular event, I might need an NFT to get into that event?
Yeah, exactly.
So basically,
like with MetaMask or something
that space, it identifies my NFT in my MetaMask.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how the mechanics works.
Yeah, it'd be the same.
I think that's the whole idea of that what's written in the code of the NFT, is it?
Yeah.
I haven't created it. I haven't actually created one.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you go to a site with just MetaMask, your public key is the thing that's signing in and giving you access. When you use an NFT, it essentially just pulls in some chunk of the metadata to authenticate instead of the MetaMask or another type of wallet. Kind of becomes your token in.
Yeah, no, that sounds like the way to go. I haven't actually used an NFT to connect to anything, but you have you gotten like using MetaMask?
In Decentraland.
In Decentraland, okay.
Oh, it's the NFT is sitting in OpenSea.
Oh, that sparked something from last night actually. So I was talking to Karen. Do you know Luke Kerr? No, from Real Time Learning. He gets around everywhere. Really nice guy. I'm going to catch up with him next week, I think, for coffee. But anyway, his son had access to his bank account, and he noticed like last week, was the week before, whenever I had COVID, whenever that was, he was like frantically calling me, trying to get some support.
Yep.
Basically, his son spent $2,000 on an NFT, like out of his bank account.
Okay.
I was like, oh no, it's like, what did he get? And it was like some nonsense. Like, oh god. Because I think they had discussions about it, and he's like, oh, that's interesting, like, because he's fascinated by it and wants to sort of support his son.
Yeah.
And just realized, whoop, $2,000 gone. So like, he needs to join the School of Bitcoin ASAP.
Yeah. And there is it's not unusual for parents to share their different credit cards or something with their kids.
Well, exactly right. Yeah, that's
it opens up a whole lot of questions and puzzles. An understanding of all these things is so important. And an update that I've noticed is on television now, especially on Foxtel channels, there's a lot of advertisements for Spriggy. And it's now, I mentioned it last week.
Yeah.
And it's Australia's, often it's seen as Australia's most loved pocket money app and card. And it's really interesting. So it's one way that people are tuning into. Yes, digitally we can either manage see how our kids are going, or help our kids, or our kids can be completely independent with managing their pocket money. And interesting.
Yeah.
Or Karen, maybe make mistakes with our kids as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And that's part of life, right?
It's absolutely part of life. And best if we know about it, then we can. Well, that's one of the things that keeps coming in my mind is where are the mysteries or the unanswered questions, or the questions that people are too afraid to ask.
Yes.
Now, I think that's something that, maybe that some way we can sort of have that in, whether it's in a chat box or whether it's on the website. What do you wish you knew? And but was too embarrassed to ask, or
It's a great idea.
It is a great idea. It was just you just on that point, it was also interesting that, supporting our kids and getting into those conversations and being too afraid, and thinking about Lagarde and Christine Lagarde, and who's the other one? Is it Peter Schiff, whose kids are into crypto, but they very much poo-hoo it. And I think that's a shame. Yeah.
Peter Schiff in particular, like his son just dissing him on Twitter like every day.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. Like he could be learning with his son. Yeah, it's just sad. Really sad. / hilarious.
I just think I referred a while ago to an expression that I've learned, freedom within boundaries. And if we keep we want freedom. We want kids and everyone to learn as much as they can about Bitcoin, digital currency, about those things. But the freedom, the boundary that I see, we want to try and keep boundaries spread, not just too tight, but is safety. And safety, especially when you talk about anything with finances, is a really, really important one.
Mm-hmm.
So, just thinking about, we want them to explore all the ideas that come into heads, and all the more they want to know, and parents to also be open to these things, even, maybe grandparents who want to help their kids, but, what is all this about? Just trying to help build an understanding that's accessible and no fear involved, or limit the fear as much as possible.
100%. Apparently on someone was telling me last night on Four Corners, they had a piece on cryptocurrencies. I didn't see it. Did anyone get a chance to have it? Was it useful at all?
The people I talked to about the School of Bitcoin, I had quite a few quite a few of the mums and the dads sort of texting and emailing me and saying, you need to look at this, and it's like, everybody knee-jerk reacts when something goes wrong and thinks that the School of Bitcoin is, we're all, not quite evil, but like
controlling markets or something.
It's all bad. It's bad news. I think they were concerned for me. It's like, oh gosh, Jill, you're so conservative, you couldn't be wrapped up in this kind of thing. But
my phone always runs hot whenever there's something mainstream on. My mother, it's like 9 o'clock at night or something. My mother's sending me messages. Are you okay? You're not getting mixed up in something, are you?
That's right.
I told her, look, when I come down in for your 80th birthday, I'll give you a lesson in Bitcoin. It's time to start saving, to save yourself when the governments go bust. So
that's right.
Yeah.
Gosh, funny ads. Yeah,
it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad a piece. There was some good messages in it, and some good thought, and very relevant to what's happening in the environment today. When bear markets come, people do get burned. When experimental projects go wrong, we'll yet to see what happens with the founder of Luna, but ultimately the consensus today is like he didn't actually sort of do anything criminal, but who knows? It's actually something, it's a technology that failed or an idea that failed. So they raised some really good points. Some people have done very well out of crypto, and others, unfortunately, are getting terribly burned. So
well, that's it, isn't it? And it's fascinating to sort of see like the cycles as well. I prefer a bear market because you can build stuff without noise. Like the noise around all the fake stuff that's out there, like whatever project it is, whatever, as you said, Ponzi scheme, Electro that's out there, they kind of disappear, and you can actually do the good work as opposed to just kind of listening to the noise. So I much prefer a bear market for that specifically. I mean, and I think with each bear market that comes, bull and bear cycle, it's obviously more and more people, and you have more and more people coming to the realization that this network, or the BTC network in particular, is the safest place for not just wealth, but in terms of building on top of. So that's why I'm so excited about the Stacks program as well. Like, I think for all the negative things that maxis might say about it, like, they've built something pretty awesome that's literally sitting on the BTC blockchain for longevity and settles on that. So it's pretty cool. So I'm excited to actually get building on that and building with that community in a bear market. I think that's the best possible outcome we could have at the moment. So we probably have like 2 years to actually do the good work.
Yeah, I mean, I think you take into account the resilience in a bear market. The new report by Andrew Horowitz says, they're so bullish on this space and the what's going on, what's being built, that they've just raised a $4.5 billion fund, the largest ever in history in a bear market. If you have a look at the likes of Every Realm, who were Republic Realm, and what they're doing, they had 1,000 students turn up. 500 students turn up at $1,000 each just to learn about what skills you need to have in the metaverse.
That's cool.
You hear, I think hearing Jenny the other day talking about Stacks, it was like they weren't talking about a bear market. They were so excited about what's going on in this space and the thousands of projects that are getting built. There was no noise at all about a 60% drop in the value of Stacks. I actually thought there's always risks. I've seen in different foundations, when you go into a bear market, they pull back on the funding and they pull back on the chapters. But yeah, the reality is they must be a well-funded, well-run organisation, because they're full steam ahead. Same with, from what I can see in the Algorand community, there's so many projects getting built in Australia.
That's very true. Yeah.
So coming out the other side of a bear market, well, we'll see what happens next.
It's like I said, it's probably the best time. Like, I think just without us even realizing it, we kind of picked the best time to be doing this project. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Is this one Builders with Resilience?
That's just Every Realm, and what they're a metaverse real estate company, and
cool.
how they've just exploded from a small company, just did a $60 million raise. It's sort of, there's some really exciting things going on in the background.
Very cool indeed. Well, we might leave it there then, hey guys, unless anyone else had anything.
I think just after a chat with the lecturer and you and I next week about looking at into the new financial year, I think I've got some great ideas about capital rate, like some funding.
Awesome.
I posted that one there in regards to special projects, but Jill, I think in the new financial year, we can look at things like Gitcoin, we can look at what grants, and how to use the Digital Playhouse Foundation. It's not for profit and charity status. We could actually, I think we could spin up some great ideas to generate some funding and interest.
Yep.
100%.
Yeah. Excellent.
Looking forward to it. Well, looking forward to Thursday as well. So yeah, tomorrow night. Hopefully you can all join in. It should be pretty awesome, I reckon.
Yeah, so I can be there. Electra Kieran was saying we need some people to I guess I should say manage
just the chat on YouTube.
The YouTube chat, the chat on Zoom. I could do Zoom chat. Are you planning to be there, Electra?
Yeah, I've got something else on, but I'll cancel it. So that's all right.
On Thursday night.
I don't know how to manage a YouTube chat.
It's literally just a chat on the side of the thing, and you can just type if anyone writes anything. Like,
okay, all right.
I'm planning to be there as well, but I didn't know how to manage a YouTube chat either. So I'll watch you, Electra.
Literally, anyone who wants to chat. I'm guessing there'll be nothing much in there, but
I'll write some comments and Electra can manage them.
Yeah,
okay,
perfect.
you can help me learn.
I think it's just a string of conversations, isn't it?
Yeah.
We'll have fun, Jill.
Okay, cool. I'll be there.
And I'll do today. I'll do a Google slide, and if anyone wants to dump anything into it, feel free.
That'd be good.
No pressure for anyone to present, only if you want to, and we'll have fun.
I think I'm set up for live streaming, Kieran. I can't get out of it.
Jill, did you have any success catching up with Babu at all about down on the Gold Coast?
I haven't done, but I will reach out to him again. I think when I was trying to catch up with him, it was when Terra was all going down, and yeah, I think there was a little bit too much happening. But I'll reach out to him again. Thank you for reminding me.
Lucas Cullen from Bitcoin Brisbane. He was interested in, I reached out to him and said, would you like to put your meetup on the Bitcoin Australia meetup? He said, sure. So
Awesome.
I've dropped it in the link there, their meetup page there, Brisbane's longest established Bitcoin meetup. There is a Bitcoin Brisbane. Kieran had raised who's the organization, the Bitcoin organization, Kieran?
Bitcoin, God's sort of Bitcoin organization. I'll tell you now. Yeah. Australian Bitcoin. God, I forget the name. Bitcoin industry body. So ABIB.
Yeah, so the ABIB for Bitcoin is
bitcoinindustrybody.org.au. That's the one.
Yeah, so we reached out to them about the meetups. They are pure Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So they had some questions, and you will get these questions in regards to, well, stacks, how does stacks fit in with Bitcoin?
Yeah.
So it's doing a bit of homework there with the stacks community as to what some responses are.
Yeah. Which, I mean, yeah, great. That'll be awesome. I was thinking of actually joining these guys as well, because they're doing some pretty good work. And
yeah, they have a VR chat on Wednesday mornings at 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock. It's an actual
VR.
Really?
Yeah. VR.
In cool. VR.
What are they using?
So if you go to, they have a Telegram channel,
right,
which you got to send, I think, do a payment in a 1 Satoshi or a couple of Satoshis to join. Yeah, cool. So if you follow through there off that website, there's a bunch of different meetups there.
Mm-hmm.
I asked, could we put our meetup onto there?
Yeah.
But I think they wanted to qualify us first and see what we're about and see if we're Bitcoin only.
Yeah. That's cool.
I'm just looking at the site now, Gordon. Members, they've got the wallet. Satoshi as a member. I wonder whether, it would be great if School of Bitcoin could go in as a member.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that'll just take a bit of a chat in the conversation and as we go along there. First of all, there's 3 different types of levels of membership, and one was just basically joining their meetup, but I think they'll be pretty tight on, you've got to be according to the rules of the game there. So that's good.
Well, once we get our grant through, I reckon that's definitely worth allocating some funds to join that for all of us.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Awesome.
That's cool. Really cool. Awesome. All right. Well, we'll leave it there then, guys. Let's I'll see everyone tomorrow night in VR.
Will do. Okay.
Should be good. All right. We'll see you then.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Karen. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.